Okay, so like anyone in the automotive world who is like really aiming for some serious growth is probably wondering right now, is like, how do I know if this AI thing is actually working for me?
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
is it actually paying off?
Yeah.
So today, that's what we're diving into.
Absolutely.
We're going to like try to tackle that really critical question.
Right.
We're going to specifically focus on day 20 of the 30-day AI protocol transformation system.
Okay.
You can think of this protocol as like a roadmap to fully like integrate AI into your dealership.
Right.
And that's everything from attracting customers to how you serve them.
Yep.
And on day 20, the focus is all about measurement.
Exactly. It's a stage where a lot of dealerships can kind of feel lost, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even the ones that are embracing the tech, they've implemented the AI. They might be seeing some changes here and there, but they're not really connecting it to the metrics that they've always relied on.
Yeah, you've been there. You launched something new, especially with all the buzz around AI right now.
For sure.
And then you're looking at the same old reports, cost per click, email opens, lead form submissions.
Exactly.
Maybe the numbers move a little bit.
Yeah.
But you don't really see the real impact, do you?
Right.
So that's like the core of what we're going to dive into today.
Absolutely.
Why don't those familiar numbers show us what AI is really doing and what should you be focusing on instead?
That's the key. We want to give you a new lens to view it all through.
Okay.
To evaluate AI's effectiveness and go beyond those surface level figures.
I like that.
And really reveal those deeper shifts that are happening.
Yeah. So let's address why those traditional metrics that everyone's so familiar with aren't giving us the full picture when it comes to AI.
Okay, so think about it like this.
Okay.
Metrics like cost per click or email open rates, they were developed for a totally different marketing landscape.
Right.
This was before everybody was using these intelligent systems. They measure volume, how many clicks, how many opens. But AI operates in a totally different way. It understands, it personalizes, it refines those interactions in ways that basic metrics just weren't designed to capture. It would be like trying to measure how well a Formula One race car performs by just looking at how many times the wheels turn per minute.
Yeah.
It tells you something, but it misses so much.
Right.
The aerodynamics, the engine management, all those things that make it really perform.
So it's like a different engine altogether.
Exactly.
So it's not just like a faster horse.
Right.
Yeah, and this actually reminds me of a dealership.
Oh, okay.
We worked with them early on in their AI journey. They were going through the 30-day protocol.
Okay.
And they roll out this AI-powered marketing system.
Yeah.
And after the first month, they look at all their usual KPIs.
Sure.
Cost per click was maybe a little better. Email open rates, basically no change. Lead form submissions, tiny bump, nothing too exciting. And understandably, they were questioning the value.
Yeah. And that's a critical point because on the surface, it seemed like nothing really changed.
Right.
But what those traditional metrics completely overlooked was where the AI was generating significant value for that dealership.
Yeah. And, for example, the leads they were getting were of a much higher quality.
Absolutely.
The AI was doing a better job at like finding and attracting prospects who were actually a good fit for their vehicles.
Yep.
And these were the customers who were like ready to buy.
Right. Those ideal customers that every dealership is looking for.
Exactly. And that shift in lead quality went straight into like way more meaningful conversations.
For sure.
The sales team wasn't wasting their time sifting through, tons of these lukewarm inquiries.
Yeah.
They were talking to prospects who were further down the path, closer to buying.
Absolutely.
And the sales team, they noticed it right away.
Yeah.
They were saying that the customers were better informed. They'd done their research online and they had like much clearer intentions when they walked into the showroom. It made their jobs like way more effective.
Right.
And to be honest, less frustrating.
I bet.
And this brings up another impact that often goes unmeasured. It's the quality of the customer engagement across all channels.
Yes.
And it was dramatically improved.
For sure.
It wasn't just about opening the email anymore.
Right.
It was about clicking through to the vehicle details. It was about watching the videos and spending time on the website.
Absolutely.
These are actions that actually indicate genuine interest.
Exactly.
And on the website itself, the visitors were going directly to the info that they cared about.
Right.
They weren't just browsing aimlessly.
Yeah, which is huge.
Yeah. And one of the biggest transformations was this boost in team efficiency. And this is something that your standard reports rarely capture.
Yeah.
Because the AI was handling so much of the initial filtering and the information delivery.
Yeah.
The sales team could really just focus on nurturing those strong leads.
Exactly.
And the marketing team, they could step back from that day-to-day campaign management, and they could focus on the broader strategy.
Absolutely.
And even the service advisors, they benefited because they had more targeted and more personalized communication with customers.
It's really amazing how it affects every part of the dealership.
It is, and it all comes down to this a properly integrated AI system. It totally changes how your dealership operates.
For sure.
In ways that traditional automotive retail metrics just weren't designed to see.
Right. You're trying to measure the output of a brand new engine with tools made for a much simpler machine.
Exactly. Okay, so we know why the old ways of measuring aren't good enough.
Right.
Especially in the context of the 30-day AI protocol.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what dealerships should be looking at.
Okay.
What are some of the impacts of AI that just get totally missed?
So one key area is just the sheer speed of operations.
Okay.
AI can automate and optimize all these processes that would take tons of time and manual effort before.
Yeah, like what specifically?
Think about how quickly you can respond to online inquiries now. How fast you can process customer info, or how much faster your internal workflows are.
Yeah.
These increases in speed can have a really tangible impact on customer satisfaction.
Right.
And just your overall productivity.
Absolutely. Okay, so speed, that's number one. What else?
And then there's consistency.
Okay.
AI can ensure that you have a uniform level of quality. And you're always sticking to your brand messaging across every single customer interaction.
Yeah, that's tough to do even with a really well-trained team.
Exactly. It's almost impossible for humans to be perfect all the time.
Right.
But every email, chatbot, responses, the information on your website, it can all be consistently high quality.
I see what you mean.
And let's not forget about human error.
Right.
AI can identify and correct all those inconsistencies and mistakes.
Yeah, that definitely happened in a busy dealership.
For all the time.
Okay, so these direct benefits, speed, consistency, accuracy, they're huge.
They are.
But as we talked about earlier with that dealership example, the indirect effects are often even more valuable, but they're also harder to measure.
Absolutely.
So what are some of those less obvious ripple effects that dealerships should be paying attention to?
Well, one of the most significant is that your team can finally focus on higher value activities.
Okay.
When AI is handling all those routine time-consuming tasks, your sales team can spend more time building relationships and closing deals.
Right.
Your managers can focus on strategic planning and team development.
Yeah.
And your marketing team can focus on creating these innovative and effective campaigns.
That's a big shift in resource allocation.
It is. Everyone can operate at a higher level.
So instead of being stuck in the weeds,
right,
they can actually be strategic.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, what about the customer experience?
Oh, the customer experience is completely transformed.
In what way?
AI allows you to personalize things at a scale that just wasn't possible before.
Okay.
Your communication is timely, it's relevant, it's tailored to each customer.
Wow.
The entire experience just feels more intuitive and more valuable.
And that builds stronger loyalty than just a generic satisfaction score would show.
Exactly. It's about the customer feeling truly understood and valued.
Yeah, and it's not just about what the customer sees, right?
Right.
AI also impacts how resources are allocated internally. And you don't always see that in an expense report.
That's true. AI can actually optimize your marketing budget by identifying the most effective channels and campaigns.
Okay.
It can help your sales team prioritize those really promising leads.
So you're not wasting time.
Exactly. And that makes your entire operation more efficient.
So we're seeing efficiency, better customer experience, and smarter management of resources.
Yep.
You also mentioned this compound effect being the most powerful impact of AI.
Yes.
But also the hardest to measure.
It is.
What do you mean by that?
So this is where the long-term power of AI comes in.
Okay.
Traditional software or static systems, they don't learn. But AI learns, and it improves with every single interaction and every piece of data.
So the more it learns,
the better it gets.
About your customers and the market.
Exactly. And that creates this huge advantage that grows over time.
That's powerful.
It is.
So traditional metrics, they're like trying to measure something that's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
But with a ruler made for something static.
Exactly.
Okay, so what are the new ways that dealerships should be measuring the impact of AI?
Well, we've identified several key categories that provide a much more comprehensive view.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, we have speed metrics.
Okay, speed metrics. What are those?
These focus on how AI is making things faster.
Got it. Like what?
Think about measuring the time to first response for online inquiries.
Okay.
We actually saw one dealership cut their response time from 24 hours down to under an hour just by using AI.
Wow, and I bet that helped their sales.
Oh, yeah, their lead conversion rates went way up.
That's amazing.
Okay, what else? You can also look at process completion times, like how long it takes to schedule a service appointment or process a loan application.
Okay.
And then there's the speed of decision making.
Right, because you have more data.
Exactly.
And the AI can help you make sense of it.
Right.
So you can make better decisions faster.
Absolutely. All of these improvements show how much more efficient AI is making your dealership.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so it's not just about how much you're doing, it's about how quickly and efficiently you're doing it.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the next category?
Next, we have quality metrics.
Okay, quality metrics.
So here, we're not just looking at quantity anymore. We're shifting to the effectiveness and accuracy of every interaction.
Okay.
So you can measure things like the reduction in errors.
Errors in what?
Errors in customer data or communication.
Got it.
Or the completeness of your follow-up with leads.
Okay, so you're not letting anyone slip through the cracks.
Exactly. And then there's the accuracy of your personalization in your marketing.
Okay, so is the AI actually showing the right deals to the right customers?
Yes. These metrics tell you how AI is making your interactions more relevant and more impactful.
So fewer mistakes, more targeted communication.
Exactly.
Okay, what about scale metrics?
Scale metrics help you understand how AI is actually expanding your reach and your capabilities.
How so?
You can measure things like how many customer conversations your AI chatbots can handle at the same time, or how much broader your market coverage is thanks to AI-driven advertising.
Got it.
Or even the overall service capacity that you can offer.
Because AI can help with scheduling and diagnostics.
Exactly. AI lets you do more with the same resources.
That's a huge advantage, especially if you're trying to grow.
It is.
Okay, what about learning metrics?
Learning metrics are key for measuring the long-term value of AI.
In what way?
They track how quickly the AI is optimizing itself based on all the new data it's getting.
So it's literally getting smarter.
Yes, and you can measure how fast it's learning new things about customer preferences or market trends, or how much the accuracy of its predictions is improving.
Like which leads are likely to convert.
Exactly, and how quickly it can adapt to any changes in the market.
So these metrics show how AI is constantly improving.
Yes, and that gives you a sustainable advantage.
Wow, that's fascinating. So you're actually measuring the AI getting smarter over time.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the final category?
The final category is value metrics.
Okay, value metrics.
These connect your AI directly to real business results.
Okay.
So you can measure things like how well you're using your marketing budget.
Okay.
Or your team's time or your overall operational expenses.
So it's about being more efficient with your resources.
Exactly. And you can also measure how many sales opportunities you're capturing that you might have missed before.
I see.
And then there's the reduction in risk.
Risk of what?
Things like compliance errors or customer churn.
Oh, wait.
Because AI can give you insights that help you avoid those things.
So these metrics show the real return on your investment in AI.
They do in ways that traditional metrics just can't capture.
Okay, so we've moved from this limited view to a much broader understanding.
We have.
We're looking at speed, quality, scale, learning, and value.
Yep.
So how does this actually work in a dealership?
Okay, so let's break it down.
Right.
At the most immediate level, right after you implement the AI tools, you might notice that you're responding to online inquiries way faster.
Okay, so that's a speed metric.
It is. You might also see that your follow-up with leads is more consistent.
So that's a quality metric.
Exactly. And you'll probably notice a reduction in data entry errors.
Because the AI is automating those tasks.
Right, and that's another quality metric.
Okay, and your staff will have more free time because the AI is handling some of their tasks.
Exactly, and that impacts both speed and resource allocation, which is a value metric.
Okay, so those are the initial results.
Right.
What about the next level, the process improvements?
Okay, so at the process level, your sales workflows might evolve.
Okay.
Take advantage of AI-driven lead scoring.
Right.
So your team can focus on the best leads.
So that impacts speed and value.
It does. You might also be able to personalize your service recommendations.
How?
Based on the AI's understanding of the customer's history and their vehicle data.
So that's a scale and quality improvement.
Exactly. And then things like inventory pricing adjustments can be streamlined.
Because the AI can analyze the data.
Right, and that improves your speed and value.
And all your decision-making is better informed.
Yes, because you have AI-powered analytics.
Which impacts quality and value.
Exactly.
So it's not just individual tasks that are getting better, It's your entire operation.
It is that AI is making your whole dealership smarter.
Okay. And then there's the strategic level.
Right. So strategically, AI can help you find and reach new customer segments.
By analyzing data.
Exactly. And that's a scale metric.
Okay.
And that amazing personalized customer experience we talked about, that becomes a real competitive advantage.
So that's quality and value.
It is. And your team can do so much more because they have these AI tools.
Right. So that impacts scale and value.
Exactly. And because the AI is always learning,
right,
you have a long-term advantage over your competition.
That's a learning and value metric.
It is.
Okay. So this multi-level perspective really shows how AI can transform a dealership.
It goes way beyond just basic automation.
And we talked about that dealership that created a transformation dashboard.
Yes.
To track these new metrics.
Uh-huh.
What did they learn that they wouldn't have seen in their old reports?
So their cost per click went up a little bit.
Okay.
But their cost per qualified lead went way down.
Because the AI was targeting the right people.
Exactly. And that's a big value metric.
It is. Their email open rates were about the same, but more people were clicking through to see the vehicle details.
Yes.
And their overall response rates tripled.
Because the content was relevant.
Yeah, so that's a huge quality and value improvement.
It is. And their website traffic stayed about the same.
But people were spending more time on the site.
Yeah.
And looking at more pages.
Right.
And they were requesting information about specific vehicles.
Exactly.
So that's a quality metric.
It is.
And it shows that the people visiting their website were more serious about buying. Wow, those are some pretty big improvements.
They are.
What about the team?
Oh, yeah. The team was much happier.
In what way?
The sales team was spending less time on admin work and more time talking to buyers.
That makes sense. The managers had better data to use for coaching.
Exactly.
And for analyzing performance.
Right.
That's a value metric.
It is. And the marketing team could finally focus on strategy and creative work.
Instead of doing all those routine tasks.
Right. So everyone was more engaged, they were less stressed, and they were more satisfied.
And that has a big impact on the dealership's long-term success.
It does, but you won't see those benefits in a financial report.
So it's really about understanding how AI affects the whole dealership.
The entire ecosystem.
Not just a few isolated data points.
Exactly.
So for all the dealership managers and marketing teams out there who are using AI or thinking about using it, how should they be measuring its impact?
So the key is to recognize that your old metrics, they're not telling the whole story. Yeah. And they might even be misleading you.
Okay.
You have to understand these new categories: speed, quality, scale, learning, and value.
Right.
And how they affect your immediate results, your processes, and your overall strategy.
And that's crucial for proving that AI is worth the investment.
It is.
And for making smart decisions.
Absolutely.
Especially as you go through the 30-day AI protocol.
Right.
You have to define what these metrics look like for your specific dealership.
Yes.
What does speed mean for your customers?
Right. What quality improvements will really boost your reputation?
How can AI help you reach more people or offer more services?
How can you make sure that AI is always learning and getting better?
And most importantly, how is AI going to improve your bottom line?
Exactly.
So the key takeaway here is that measuring AI success requires a whole new way of thinking.
It does.
It's not about looking back at the old data.
Right.
It's about understanding how AI is transforming your dealership in all of these different ways. So I want everyone listening to really think about how you're currently measuring things.
Yeah.
What are you missing?
What speed metrics would give you a better picture of how much more efficient you are?
Right. What quality improvements are you overlooking that could make your customers more loyal?
How is AI helping you grow and offer more?
Are you tracking how much the AI is learning and improving?
And most importantly, how is AI actually adding value to your dealership?
Yeah, beyond those old metrics you've always used.
Exactly.
And on that note, here's a final thought.
Okay.
As AI becomes even more important in the automotive world, how will your dealership define success?
Yeah, what will success look like in the future?
And what new metrics will show that you're really achieving that unstoppable growth?
Great questions.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive today.
It was fun.